up, boss.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wisdom Walkers podcast, where I'm your host, Javante Blackman. We are in season 2 of this thing, man. And just to remind everybody, this is a promo hub for my new book, Walking with Wisdom. And in the building today, I got my guy, Mr. Javian Jones, is in the building. Another Muck made product. What's going on, bro? You good?
Taking it easy, man.
I feel you on that. So definitely gonna bring you an icebreaker question. We're gonna break the ice so that you feel comfortable on the show. Give me your favorite Florida classic memory, bro. Talk to me. Talk to the people.
My favorite Florida classic memory would have to be my freshman year.
Okay.
No, I'll take that back. It got to be my junior year.
Okay.
My junior year, it was a tight game. With like a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter, and y'all threw that interception, and we won the game. So that whole ending had me my anxiety on a peak. I was like, y'all get ready to call the ambulance because I don't think I'm gonna make it. but all that stress we went through being on the Royal Court from Florida Classic Community Service in that game. Yeah. We deserve to win that
game. Man, you know what's crazy? I talk about this behind the scenes with all my people. When I talk about my time at Florida A&M, I would have loved to be on the Royal Court, bro. I really wanted. I didn't really want to run for Mr. FAMU or anything like that, but just to be an escort, just to be in that, that environment.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That would have been it.
Yeah, man. It was an amazing experience, man. I learned a lot. Went through some, but it built us stronger for what's to come in the future as far as long term your professional career and dealing with people of all sorts. So
absolutely, man. So for those of you who don't know, my guest today, Mr. Javian Jones, is a former Mr. Bethune-Cookman University. He is a proud product of the Muck, somebody who not only just the community looks up to, but I've had conversations with kids who follow him on social media, and they have raved about just the example that he sets, and it's a dope thing to have him on the show, man. I met Javian back in high school. I want to say about my 10th grade, man.
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, man, through Kick. So shout out to the people who still use Kick or remember Kick, man. Them Kick days were something serious, man.
Yes, sir.
And Javian has always been an ambitious young man. He's always been about his business, always been a hustler. And I met him amongst other hustlers. So from Tay London Sims, shout out to Tay, shout out to Miss London, to the twins, to my boy Kennard, man. All of us were in a Kick group together, and that's when I met this young man. And from there, man, through social media, just keep in touch on different bases, man. We just build a tremendous friendship, man. And so I'm happy to have you on the podcast today, bro.
I'm happy to be here, man.
Shout out to you. All right, let's dive in. So, got a couple of questions for you. We're going to start off with the traditional one. Everybody that comes on the show gets this same first question. What does wisdom mean to you, and who is the first person that comes to mind when you think of wisdom?
Okay. So, what wisdom means to me is having a sense of direction.
Okay.
Because, you don't want to, you don't like what the old people say, you don't want the blind leading the blind. So you want to be able to follow behind somebody, learn from someone, or be that person that could, carry the weight and, just show people the right way to go when it comes to being successful and just being out of the way. Someone who I think of when I think of wisdom. So this may be a little different because most times we think of wisdom, we think of people up in age.
Yeah.
As for me, I think of someone who is, 1 or 2 years older than me, who I've had conversations on a plethora of bases and always seem to have an answer or an optimistic approach about certain things. And that person would be my brother, Earl Robinson Jr., who served as the 9th Mr. Bethune-Cookman University when I served on his court as Mr. Jr. Back in 2019, 2020.
All right. Cool. You know what? It's so refreshing to hear somebody bring a more, youthful voice or youthful vision or personification to that principle, because like you said, a lot of times we think of older people. We think of, grandfathers, grandmothers, uncles, aunts, fathers, and mothers. But a lot of times, man, the voice of wisdom can be right next door, to us, man. So
exactly.
I in the book I talk about how wise counsel can be anybody. It can be somebody who's older than you, but it can also be somebody who's your age, even younger. And you just got to be brave enough and have the courage and put your pride down and your ego down enough to really invite these people to your table and have those conversations with them. So I think that's dope, man. I've been echoing this from day one. My mom is a personification of that principle for me. She just is top to bottom fully that for me. Like when I think about everything that she represented for me as a youngster, as a jit, to even as an adult, man, she was just like, that's that voice of reason for me, and somebody I can definitely just, hey, what you think about this, bro? And we go from there. So shout out to our personifications of the principle, man. I know we make them proud, and I'm excited. All right, let's go to question 2.
Okay.
So you recently held a position at Bethune-Cookman University as Mr. Bethune-Cookman University. Which I'm sure came with a lot of highs and lows, which I know you got stories for days you can talk about, right?
Yeah.
What type of wisdom helped you navigate that season of your life?
One would be to be optimistic.
Okay.
Only focus on the things that you can control and not so much of the things that you cannot control.
Like that.
Most times, we go into these positions after seeing, our predecessors and how they moved and what they've accomplished in those roles. And we say, oh, I want to be in that position for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We get in this position not knowing that it's much more than just about your appearance and about the regalia that you're wearing on top of who you are. So, we run on the platform. And you thinking it's going to go 100% how you planned it.
Right.
But in reality, knowing that when you step in this position, you got so many things that you have to put your hands on, that responsibility come out of hand. And now you only can focus on things that you can control, because at the end of the day, you are a representation of a whole university and a community and your student body.
Yeah.
And more so the people back at home too.
For sure.
So it's just like, don't make decisions based off what you think would be sufficient for you. You have to more so make decisions based on the majority of the people and what would be best for those people and the university or, whatever you're representing. So focus on things that I can control, which was professionalism, my approach, how to interact with people, and just how to be a leader all around. Because another wisdom piece that a former Mr. BCU taught me that really stuck with me was, I'm not a leader because I have it all together. I'm a leader because I'm willing to learn. So always being a sponge for knowledge and learning things to put those tools in your toolbox. So like I said before, when you go out into the world, those are the type of tools that you can use that can most likely make your transition better for what you want to do. So that would be a couple wisdom pieces for me. There's been many times where it's like, you want to throw in the towel, you want to lose your mind, but it's just like tap into the reason why you ran for this position, or the reason why you're doing this, you took this job, the reason why you got this platform. Tap into that reason.
Yeah.
And you work with that and you run with that. And you won't be stressed out. You won't lose your mind. You'll see how far you see how far you go, rather than focus on the things you can't control.
Right.
And see how stagnant you are.
Absolutely, bro. You said a mouthful. One of the things that I talk about in the book is a chapter called Perspective, and how perspective is the best friend of wisdom. A lot of times,
absolutely,
we sit back and we like, if I knew then what I knew now, I have a whole lot more a better perspective. We live in a hindsight perspective, and I think as a leader, the thing I'm learning about leadership as I get older and I'm put into different positions to lead, is that the wisdom of a leader is different from the wisdom of a follower, because the perspective is different.
Yeah.
You as a follower, you're self-centered, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like a lot of times we get, those words get a bad rep, but at the end of the day, you're only responsible for making sure that you do what is asked of you as a follower.
Absolutely.
But as a leader, your perspective is a little different. You are the face that the 100 sees, as opposed to the being a part of the 100 that sees that one face. You get
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when that's your perspective, when you're seeing these 100 faces, it's like, all right, my moves don't just affect me.
Right.
The wisdom that I walk with just doesn't affect me. It affects everybody else around me. And in the chapter of perspective, I talk about how environment is an influence. You have all of these different influences that influence perspective, and that influence on perspective changes your wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So being put in a certain position to learn from other people and gain different nuggets, but also I'm sure that position in leadership, like I've seen this firsthand, a lot of leadership is being able to apply wisdom on the fly. So you got to have a ear to really listen to it, because she like, bro, don't move like this because it's going to affect everybody else whole time.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I can do that. I can do that. Like, that's an easy move, but you have to be more in tune with wisdom on the fly, because you're going to have to shift.
Absolutely.
As a leader, there's quick.
You got to be flexible.
You got to be flexible and adaptable. Adaptability is the key to success. Like when you are adapting on a consistent basis, you put yourself in a position to never get stagnant, to never get comfortable. And comfort, it has its pros and its cons, but when you are moving, when you are trying to be successful, you have to be willing to be adaptable, and that only comes with having an ear to wisdom when knowing when to adapt. In another chapter in the book, I talk about discernment, and a lot of times we think that discernment is being able to predict the future. I know what this is, so because I've seen this before, I know how to move.
How to do it,
but it's not really discernment. Discernment is your desire and your willingness to invite wisdom into a specific situation. Are you open to listening to wisdom? Are you opening to getting advice? Are you open to not having it all figured out?
Right.
When you are open to that, you bring wisdom to the table, and she gives you the gift of knowing how to move. Right?
How to move, yeah.
And then on top of that, on the other side of that coin, not only do you know what to do, but you get confidence in knowing that because I have wisdom in this area, I got wisdom in this situation, I can't really lose.
Right. There's no room for failure.
There's no room for failure. And when you are a leader, you need to walk with that level of confidence. As a leader, you definitely need to walk in that confidence.
I 100% agree.
For sure. Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
How did leaving the muck and getting a change in environment help shift your perspective on what's possible?
How did leaving the muck change my perspective on what's possible?
Absolutely.
So we know that our hometown is interested in more, what's the word for it? They're more congratulatory on a certain thing, right? Which would be sports, right?
Absolutely.
So we have we have many other professionals and leaders, that are doing great things in the world. So I would say, as for me, knowing that there's more outside than it is here, it's like being a big fish in a small pond.
For sure.
You can't get everything where you are. You just got enough to get as big as you are.
Absolutely.
So now, take all that what you've learned at home, mannerism, advice from family, and just education.
Right.
Take that and further it to where you're going next.
Yeah.
So when you get there, you hip on how you should move and what you should do, but you're also open to what you should be molded into to get to the next step.
Absolutely.
So I think just knowing like it's much greener on the other side and knowing that for me specifically, I always want to be someone who can come back and pour into somebody else's cup. Sure. And I won't be able to do that if I'm still here, still consuming the same stuff that I already had over the last 18 years.
Right.
From a jitterbug to a young adult.
Right.
So now I'm in the young adult stage. It's time to make that shift. It's time to learn new things. It's time to become who you least expect to become.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I never thought that I would be, although I was Mr. Glade Center, yes, after in high school. I never thought that I would be at a university serving, at the forefront with others, having conversation with the university president. And these people, and why I say it, because you're engaging with people who are more than just who you see.
Yeah.
University president could be the person running the multi-million business.
For sure.
The president could have been the owner, a co-owner of Coca-Cola Company. These are facts.
Right.
And now, they're back on campus trying to elevate and teach you something.
For sure.
You see? So it's just like knowing that stuff and engaging with these people and learning things from them. And again, putting it in your toolbox. So when you go off and do your thing, you already a step ahead.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
You said a mouthful. You know what I thought about when you were saying that? The movie Moana. Moana. There's more beyond the reef, right?
Yeah.
There's more beyond the reef. There's more beyond the Muck. Like, beyond the cane fields. Like, anybody who's ever come here that is not from here always get caught up on the fact that, man, ain't nothing out there but cane fields. Like, you see cane field. In reality, there's just a little bit of nothing that we live on. And a lot of our youth get caught up on the living for the moment. They're a prisoner of the moment. I'm hyped now. I'm hot now. I'm that person now. I'm congratulated now. And those who are not really suffer mentally and emotionally from not being applauded here.
Yeah.
There's a story in the Bible about Jesus coming back to his hometown, and he couldn't do many miracles because the people wouldn't accept him. And I used to read that story as a kid and like, oh, Jesus must ain't know nobody. He couldn't have been that popular the whole time. Jesus was Jesus.
Yeah. He was always himself.
He was always himself. But home will rarely accept you. Yeah. Like, and unfortunately, it's not supposed to.
Right.
Like, I think about, when I came home from college a lot of times, I came back home to my nickname. I came back home to, most of the hood know me as Jay Black. Like, that's Jay Black. Da, 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 da. And you leave home and you're an entirely different person. Nobody knows my nickname. Like,
wearing tailored suits.
Exactly. So you are an entirely different person when you leave home, but when you come home is more familiar with you. Home knows your scars. Home knows your wounds. Home knows your flaws. Home knows your past experiences that aren't always pretty. And you have to get out of a place that constantly reminds you of those things and go to a different environment. And it is wisdom's call to get to the other environment. Absolutely, man. Like, it's the wisdom calls you outside of your hometown to get what it is that you want out of life. Because she knows, based on the instruction that she receives from God, like, man, you gotta grow. I gotta put you in a place that you're gonna develop. That's really what God is telling you. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. The moment my freshman year, because I didn't end up where I thought I was going to be in the beginning, but I'm grateful for where I ended up because I've learned, I've grown, and that's who I am, and that because of that, this is who I am today.
For sure.
When I got to Bethune-Cookman, bro, it was so much. Yes, this is a small institution, 2,000 to 3,000 students or whatever.
Yeah.
But the resources, which are limited compared to PWIs.
Yeah, for sure.
But as far as where I was, it was more than what I knew back at home. I did, although I got my degree in criminal justice, but that's a story for the next moment. But long story short, it was so many fields of studies to choose from that I was interested in.
Absolutely.
And they was always like, you could wait till your sophomore year to choose what you really want to do. But me being me, I'm like, no, I know what I want to do. Yeah. But in the back of my mind, again, it's so much to choose from.
Right.
So I ended up going the route of criminal justice and theater arts. Following something that I knew, being that I studied back at home, did the program, and sort of kind of following my passion, being something that I always loved, and like watching TV and movies and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was like when you have that sense of, dang, I don't know what to choose from because there's so much. That's what you already know. Like you in a place where you have a lot of growing up. You have a lot more growing up to do.
Exactly. And I wish our youth, I have a younger cousin who I hope watches this episode because she definitely, I really want to get on the podcast. She don't know it yet, but I definitely want to get on the podcast. But she and I have conversations all the time, and she is very, very headstrong in what she wants to do. But she understands that it's a big old world out there past the Muck, and it's intimidating because it's so much. And the thing I want her to kind of flip in her mind is, a lot shouldn't be scary. It should be exciting. It should excite you that you have so many options. Yeah. Because it would be very, very boring if the only option you had is what you chose.
Is what you chose.
The Muck is full of so many gifted people. The thing I tell people who not from here, and
I don't have enough fingers to count them.
Bro. But the thing I tell people is this: you plant anything in this Muck, it's gonna grow.
It's gonna grow.
I'm talking literally. So you can take any seed of a tree, a vegetable, fruit, whatever. You plant it in this ground, this soil we got out here, and it's going to grow.
Absolutely.
You have to, of course, till the ground, make sure that you're taking care of what you planted. But nonetheless, the nutrients in the soil is there.
It's there, yeah.
The greatness in the soil is there. And so naturally that's true, but also, figuratively that's true. From the people who are planted and rooted in this place, they grow to heights a lot of people haven't seen it. And when you are a youngster coming up out of that ground and you start to see that maybe there's more than just what I know to be this Muck, it becomes a little intimidating when you start to reach certain heights and you realize that there's more out there, but I gotta leave here to go get it.
I gotta leave here to get it, yeah.
I gotta leave here to go get it. And the thing I'm reminded of is you get pushed a lot to go get it, but you gotta be willing to go get it.
You gotta be willing.
It is scary. But I have an older cousin that reminds me every time I'm scared to do something, do it scared. Do it afraid. Do it without the accolades. Do it without that cushion to fall on. Do it without your parents there. Do it without the community rooting for you. Do it without anybody going with you.
Absolutely.
And I've just built that as my default to now, bro, there is nothing that I won't do scared and all. I'm gonna be real with you. Doing this, I'm scared to do this podcast.
I'm scared to accept. I was scared to accept, man.
Every time this camera turns on, I get a little nervous.
Yeah.
But when that camera turn on, I throw my nerves to the side and I say, you know what? I've been graced to do this and I'm going to do it. And I'm reminded that every time I hear my cousin's voice, that's wisdom. That is wisdom pushing me in the back and walking me towards the destiny that I ain't even planning for myself. I went to school as a biology pre-med student. I was camera shy majority of my life. And I'm gonna be real with you, it wasn't until I grew this beard that I started getting in front of the camera. For real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Confidence, huh?
You step into it. Now I'm him, so you can't get me out of the camera. You can't tell me nothing now. But before, bro, I was nervous, and now I'm stepping into places that I didn't even know existed with my name on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that even in with my medical dreams and all of that kind of stuff, there are places in which I have, stepped into behind the scenes of this camera that I didn't know were possible for me. But I had to go do those things scared. Different shadowing experiences, different conversations with different physicians, and being able to talk to medical boards and directors of hospitals and having these conversations with presidents and hiring committees and all of that kind of stuff. I remember a year ago being in an interview with a certified anesthesiologist assistant, and she was applying for a hospital, and I sat in her interview and the hiring director and I had a conversation about her interview. I was in those kind of settings, and I just thought, you go to school for 4 years, you apply to another school, you go to school for another 4 years, you apply to another program,
You're in
go to
school
that
for all
program,
your life.
and that's your life. By 30, 35, you send on 6 figures and you go live your life. You go save lives, you live your life. But nah, man, there's so many other rooms that wisdom has pulled me into that I had to have the courage to go into, man. And I'm grateful that I have other examples like yourself and other Muck-made products who were not afraid to go into those rooms and not afraid to take that call from wisdom and say, all right, wisdom, here I come.
Here I come. Because like we always say, we know success is on the other side of fear.
Exactly, bro.
You won't know what's there for you until you take that leap.
Exactly.
Break down that wall.
Exactly. And it's in breaking down the wall that you get that's the blessing, really. Yeah, you're gonna see the success on the other side, but it's the courage that you feel when you knock that wall down. It's like, nah, like I'm him. Like that's really what God really want to teach you. That's really the lesson in it all. Like I'm so much more than I thought I was. I'm so much more than what my community told me I was. Because if you're a little black boy growing up in the Muck, you're a quarterback, you're a running back, you're a receiver, you're a D-lineman, you're a linebacker, you're a safety. You are something on the football field. So for those of you who don't know anything about the culture here, if you don't play football, you are like essentially nothing. At least for the first 12 years of your life. And then you get to high school and people learn, oh, you actually are smart. And then you can go be one of those unicorn type, fairy tale type success stories. But listen to me. There are a lot more of those fairy tale success stories than football Hall of Famers. I ain't knocking nobody who go chase that dream. I want everybody to go get it, to go get it.
Because success is beautiful in all forms, but everybody's different.
Exactly. And I pray that our community begins to apply those other forms that don't include those 100 yards a lot more. A lot more. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I have this platform. That's why I'm so big on being Muck-made and communicating with other Muck-made products, man, because, there's a lot more of us, bro. Like, there's a lot more of us, and we need to be able to tell our stories to the kids who won't get a chance to score a touchdown, won't get a chance to score a basket, won't get a chance to run on a track. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get those stories out there, man, for sure.
We got to let them know, hey, man, it's more out there.
Exactly. There's more beyond the Muck.
There's more beyond the rug. Or what more on this day is more beyond the reef.
More beyond the reef. All right, let's go to the next question.
Okay.
What is one dark storm you remember surviving that gave you the most wisdom?
The moment after I graduated college.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
The moment after I graduated college. Everything that I had planned, it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Number one, COVID couldn't control it. It just knocked a lot of things off.
For sure.
During those first 8 months, I was really like, I felt like I was fighting, and I could say fighting demons, and demons such as not knowing, not understanding, and not having the sight of where I'm going.
Yeah.
But the only thing that kept me going is knowing that I have a purpose. And I haven't fulfilled that ultimate purpose, but I have a purpose.
For sure.
And the darkness was, I was having trouble with finding the route and the way that I need to take to get to that purpose.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. For me, it took me 6 to 8 months because I was applying to jobs. It wasn't going as well because of COVID and entry level and all this junk like this. They have so many stipulations. It's crazy. So I had to find another route, which was I had to go for my master's. And with that alone, I'm doing something that I said, I'm studying something, get my master's in something that I said I would never do. And I'm just like, I remember telling myself, if this is what I have to do to get where I really want to be, I'm gonna have to take that challenge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to challenge myself and not let that challenge take over me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least I would have a greater feeling with knowing that I tried, if all failed, with being just regretful without trying at all.
Yeah.
And I just wasted my time just pondering up top of fear and what ifs. So it was an era where I felt like, you feel alone. I felt alone, although I had people around me. Although I was in the house with my mom and everybody, I felt alone because, everybody's path is different. Everybody's success story is different. Everybody's struggle is different.
For sure.
And everybody's tactic and their way of getting through things are different. You just have to find your niche and your way. In order for you just got to find what fits you.
Absolutely.
So at this moment, I would say that would be the most darkest, terrifying time was post grad.
That post grad depression battle is something that is not talked about a lot. And the previous guest that I had on the show before you, in an episode, she and I talked about that as well. And it is just, man, it's real, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Now, what I'm noticing is that it's hitting people at an earlier age. So, graduating from high school and having this, the battle, this fight, because that's exactly what it is. It is a fight that you have to fight with the right tool set. One of the things you said earlier that really grabbed my attention is you talked about how you had to forget everything that you knew, right? I'm learning that on this path of success, the biggest lesson that wisdom is teaching me, like big picture wise, is that you have to forget who you were before you embark on this new journey. So my battle with post-grad depression came in so many forms, and in some ways I'm still fighting it. More recently, one of the things that I found myself fighting was, once I lost my mom, I had to take this leave of absence from school, and it was tough. It was extremely tough. Yeah. And I remember asking myself this question: who must I become in order to be successful past this?
Absolutely.
And I used to ponder on that question for hours, bro. Just in a dark room, nobody around. I was in Atlanta at the time, so I had this 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, and I would just sit in my room and just stare at the walls. Tears rolling down my face, frustration, punching the floor, punching the walls, punching the bed, punching everything, and asking myself, who must I become after this? I believe that everybody who is old enough to know what this is has a crucible to bear. And a crucible is just a life-changing moment that is the hardest thing for you to get through. Yeah. If everybody is different, like you said, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's struggle is different. Everybody's success story is different. And I'm a big fan of superheroes and all that kind of stuff. So my biggest thing is, if they had to go through something to become who they are, so do I. Yeah. Even if you want to be, biblically sound, you want to be a little, faith-filled. Every Bible character had to go through something. And if God took those people who are real people through something in order for their story to be told, what makes me different? Because I'm the Bible somebody gonna read. Yeah. You talked about having a purpose and how that kept you going past the battle. The call on that is wisdom was pushing you in the back. And what we have to always remind ourselves when we go through this battle is, man, we not fighting alone. We often give faces and personify a lot of different things. And in the first season of my podcast, I sat down with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Jack, man. Ms. Jacqueline Tyson. She and I talked about the personification of wisdom. And a lot of times we give these faces and these voices to depression. We give it to anxiety. We give it to fear. We give it to doubt. We give it to worry. And we give it to rejection. And these things sound like people. They have real voices. They move. They fight. They breathe. They scream. They yell. They do all these things to us. And a lot of times we forget that those aren't the only thing that have voices. Wisdom has a voice. Faith has a voice. Joy has a voice. Peace has a voice. Love has a voice. And if we give voices to those things and we turn the volume off on those negative principles, we'll be able to do a lot better, bro. And the thing that I have done with this book is just let us know that wisdom has a voice.
Yeah.
And not only does she have a voice, but she moves with us, and she's willing to walk us towards the glorious destiny that God promises us, man.
Absolutely.
There's a passage in the Bible, Psalms chapter 73, and it talks about this dude named Asaph and how he is looking around, he comparing himself to everybody. And the biggest thing that gets us, those of us in post-grad depression, is that comparison battle. It's really what it is. We look on social media and we see, well, that person I graduated with, they done got the internship, but they done got accepted to the program. Their scores look better. My scores look better than theirs. Why they got that? We get in that battle, and that comparison has a voice too. And she starts to talk, and then doubt starts to talk, and then fear starts to talk, and worry starts to talk. But we just got to remember, bro, that wisdom has a voice too.
Yeah.
Like, wisdom has a voice, and all we got to do is just have the courage enough to listen.
That's it.
You don't know everything. When you hurt and you fighting, you need a coach.
Yeah.
That's really why boxers have coaches. Can you imagine if boxers didn't have a coach? They would lose every battle because the coach can see what you can't. The sideline can see what you can't. And so you have to have the patience, the resilience enough, the courage enough, the strength enough to say, you know what, I don't know everything. Let me sit down, let me learn something.
Yeah.
Let me pace myself through this thing. Let me give myself a little grace. Let me forgive myself. Because a lot of times what we grieve are opportunities that never happen.
Yeah.
With post-grad depression. That's really what it is. We grieve something that we wanted so badly, so desperately, so deeply, and it didn't happen for us. And so now we sitting back with the stale face like, oh man, it's supposed to happen for me. Why ain't happening?
Right. But like, why I'm still here.
Exactly. But all we got to do is give ourselves a peace and really just give ourselves an ear to listen to wisdom, man. And
on top of that, we got to give ourselves some gratitude and some praise because we made it further than most.
For sure.
And we reached a certain level of potential that we necessarily wouldn't have reached if we were anywhere else.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, let me go to the next question. So, last question for you that I got on the docket. I believe that we're all either crawling, walking, running, or flying. So, early on in the podcast, in the first episode of the podcast, I talked about how we all are in those paces. Okay. Some of us are crawling through life. Some of us are walking through life. Some of us are running through life. And some of us are fortunate enough and blessed enough to be flying through this thing called life. Which one of those paces would you say you find yourself in now, and why?
I would say I'm crawling through life.
Let's talk about
it. The reason why I say I feel like I'm crawling through life because I think I'm finally building up the courage to follow my passion, following something that I love, want to achieve something that I would love to do in the long run, rather than going for something that will bring in instant income that I will most likely not like. I will turn out to hate it. And then if I quit, I'll be left with nothing.
Right.
I think with that, I'm crawling because I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm at the beginning.
Okay.
Of getting to where I need. All right. It comes to I majored in criminal justice. My ultimate big one to be homicide, detective or criminal investigation. Around junior year, again around COVID time, I started just looking like, man, I don't know. I think I'm on the art side. I want to write movies. I want to write books. I want to be able to be in the movie or just work on the side of production, where we could showcase Black culture, showcase our talent, and just show just show the other side of the stereotype that are based upon it.
For sure. And
tap into my creative instinct. And I think my junior year, when I figured that out, I had to roll with criminal justice, because if I changed my major, I would have to be there 2 more years. I wasn't taking that route. So I'm gonna stick with this, and then if all fails, I got something to land on, and which will be all right.
Yeah.
But now that I'm in this space, now that I have this time and I'm still young, I think I'm doing the right thing with going the route to ultimately be who I really want to be and what I want to become. Because I also feel like in the end, when I retire, or when it comes to retiring, if I ever retire, I feel like when I do retire, I still be working as my grandparents do. But they do it on their own time.
For sure.
I want to be able to get into working with them. So whether that's traveling all over the world, learning language, learning about the different cultures, if that's working with different people in different industries and different, on different projects and different things, that could be something I could teach someone else so they can be successful and necessarily not make the same mistakes that I've made and not prolong their journey to success that I'm doing. But again, with the wisdom and that purpose, knowing that that keep me pushing and knowing like this is what you got to do to get to this point.
For sure.
There's a greater reward at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have your temporary gratifications and your temporary praises now about your accomplishment. Celebrate all small wins, but the biggest one is at the end, and you'll feel much greater with celebrating that reward than you would now, because you've been through things that built character, that built strength, that built courage, and you've learned a lot that could teach millions of people. Because one thing a person said to me was, when you learn all this stuff, you learn all this knowledge, and you're not a person that talk to people. You want to gatekeep. But when you're dead and gone, you can't do nothing with it. You can't use that knowledge, and you really can't say nothing to nobody.
Exactly.
So use what you learn and what you know, and teach somebody else, so they can too be on the right path of success and be great in life.
Absolutely, bro.
But I would say right now I'm crawling. I don't know how long I will be crawling.
Right.
And I know that ultimate goal would be to fly.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I can be flying longer than I'm crawling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm big on watching our Muck made products, those that are in the media and that are always, doing big things. And Fred Taylor's a big staple in our. Yeah, he's doing his thing, especially on the Pivot. So shout out to the Pivot podcast. And on the Pivot, he give out flowers. So I'm gonna give you flowers right now, bro. Like,
appreciate it.
I've never seen a person our age be put in so many of the right places at the right time like you have. You are a tremendous person when it comes to just being in the right position at the right time, bro. And I know it's only a matter of time before you're flying. So best believe it's on the way. It is definitely on the way, bro. So it's definitely going to come. All right, so last little follow-up nugget before we get up out of here. You're going to get your copy of my new book, Walking with Wisdom. Tell me one thing that you are looking forward to reading about in the book.
Yes. Oh, what I'm looking about in the book?
Yeah, what you looking forward to?
I'm looking for everything it has to offer, man. I can't really be specific because, again, I'm open to all things. Yeah. I'm always willing to learn something. And if it's a quote, a sermon, or a speech in the book that I can use for myself to get me through whatever, I can teach somebody else to get them through whatever.
For sure.
Let's believe I'm gonna recommend that book, which is the resource, and I'm gonna let them know. Listen, based on what I've read here, this is what we got to do. This is what you got to remember. So I'm looking forward to everything, man. And then to you too. I'm happy for what you're doing, brother.
Appreciate it, bro.
Keep going. Write as many books as you can write, because there's always knowledge and power in reading and in words.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely gonna get a copy of this. Bunch of gems in here for you to dissect and share, man. And I can't wait to get that to you. So that concludes our 4th episode.
Number 4, season 2.
Season 2, episode 4. No, 5. It's just 5. Oh my God, it's 5. Man, listen, bro. So many dope. I don't even keep counting anymore, to be real, because it's just so fun. Like, I can do this every week. It's how it's supposed to be, man. So we definitely done keeping count, man. But man, we having fun with it. Nonetheless, JB, appreciate you, my boy, for joining the podcast.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Definitely looking forward to collabing. You know, anything that I can do to help you in any way, just say the word and it's done.
Likewise, brother.
For sure. So to my watchers and my viewers, shout out to y'all for keeping this thing rolling, man. I love you guys. Y'all have no idea. This is fun for me. Keep throwing guests at me. Hopefully we can get some more Muck made products on the show. Freddie T, if you watch, join the podcast, bro. Just come on. Why not?
Help a brother out.
Help a brother out. You
I'm helping with that one. Help a brother out. You need me to DM on Instagram?
Do what you do, brother. You know, you got a lot more pull. You Mr. BCU. You got a little bit more pull. You got a little more pull than I do. I'm just a former Mr. Glaze Hunter. You Mr. BCU. But definitely, man. Shout out to y'all, man. I love y'all. Jay, again, man. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you.
No problem, bro.
And until next time, y'all.